This is James. Christmas lights reflected in the polished silverware. The table was crowded, laughter too loud, the kind of joy that always felt rehearsed in this house. I buttered my roll carefully, deliberately, the knife gliding smooth as if nothing in me trembled. "This is James," her father announced, voice proud, booming, uninvited. His hand gripped the man's shoulder with paternal affection. "He'll be perfect for your position at the company, after you get laid off. And the divorce." The words floated across the table like poisoned darts. I looked at the man, tall, smug, smiling as though the joke wasn't cruel but inevitable. Gloria, my wife, shifted uncomfortably, her eyes darting anywhere but mine. She lifted her glass too quickly. I smiled, calm, polite. The knife in my hand scraped softly against the bread plate. "How nice," I said. My voice didn't shake. "James, did they mention the company is in my name, and the prenup?" Gloria choked. Red wine spilled across the white tablecloth like blood blooming on snow. The laughter stopped. The room went hollow. I sipped my drink. And in that silence, the night broke open, though no one realized yet just how far the cracks ran. It started with small things. A whisper behind closed doors. A text Gloria refused to explain, her hand curling the phone away from me like a secret child. Nights spent working late that yielded no results in her calendar. James became a shadow long before that dinner. The way she looked at him across the room, as if drawn by a magnetic pull. Her father's convenient praise of him, as if rehearsing an introduction he had been dying to make. I told myself I imagined it. I told myself marriage demanded trust, not paranoia. But paranoia is just trust dissected, a cleaner version. Her touch had grown colder, her laughter shorter. Every kiss on my cheek felt like an apology, rehearsed and shallow. My questions met with irritation. My silence met with relief. I wasn't angry, not then. Anger is wild, loud, self-destructive. What I felt was sharper, slower, a surgical blade, not a hammer. If she was betraying me, she would not confess. And I would not ask. I would watch. And when the time came, I would know. I began with her phone. Not the obvious texts. That would be sloppy, too easy. I looked for patterns. The late-night calls marked as work. Numbers saved under female names that never answered when dialed. Deleted message chains that still left fragments in her cloud backup. James's name surfaced too often. Subtle, almost careful, but his presence lingered between lines, as if he lived in the pauses, not the words. Then the company. Her father's firm belief that James would take over something that had never been his. Gloria's unusual insistence that I consider a buyout, claiming it was for us, for the family. She forgot I wrote every clause of the prenup, every legal stitch sewn tight by my own hands. I ordered records, hired someone discreet. Phone logs, surveillance, bank transfers. Gloria had grown bold, or perhaps she believed me blind. Hotel rooms booked in her assistant's name. Withdrawals timed precisely before James's business trips. I kept everything filed, neatly, chronologically. Evidence without confrontation. At night, I lay beside her as she slept, watching the steady rise and fall of her chest. Her body close, her soul elsewhere. The rage burned low but steady, a controlled flame, consuming without smoke. I spoke little, smiled often, played the role she expected. Inside, I built the case, layer by layer, brick by brick. The final piece came in a manila envelope. A report, photographs, timestamps, enough to dismantle any defense. I studied each image, each signature, as though they were scripture. James's hand on her back, Gloria's laughter pressed against his lips, the hotel room door closing behind them. There it was, the truth, ugly and unpolished. I did not cry. I did not rage. I simply folded the papers back into their envelope, set it on the table, and poured myself a drink. That evening, Gloria came home, tired and rehearsed. She kissed my cheek, the same hollow gesture. I handed her the envelope, said nothing. She opened it slowly. Pages slid out, her face drained. The glass in her hand trembled. Finally, she whispered, "You knew." I nodded, calm, detached. Of course. She sank into the chair, broken, trying to speak, but the words collapsed before they formed. I sat across from her, silent, watching her drown in her own lies. The family gathered again. Another dinner, another stage. Her father smug as ever. James, sitting too close, smiling too wide. Gloria, pale, quiet, fragile. I stood when the toast began, lifted my glass. "I want to thank Gloria," I said, my tone sharp enough to cut the air. And James, for teaching me the value of contracts and truth. I laid the divorce papers on the table. The prenup highlighted, clauses marked. Beside them, copies of the photographs, neatly bound. Her father reached for the documents, face twisting. James's smile cracked, faltering into silence. Gloria's breath hitched, a whimper escaping before she could stop it. I remained composed. "James," I said, "enjoy the company you'll never own. Gloria, enjoy the freedom you sold yourself for." I left the table then. Their voices rose behind me, breaking, desperate, angry. None of it touched me. The house felt different once I removed her from it. Empty, yes, but honest. I walked through the halls without the weight of pretense pressing down on me. Silence, once suffocating, became clean, pure. She had taken her clothes, her perfume, her lies. She had left the echoes, but echoes fade. In the mirror, I saw myself clearer than I had in years. No longer a husband, no longer deceived, just me. Some losses are liberation in disguise. I poured a drink, raised it to no one, and let the calm settle in my bones. The fire was gone, the storm had passed, and for the first time I realized I had never loved her silence more.